If you're watching the VOD on YouTube, go ahead and skip forward to about the 10-minute mark. There will also be links in the description. Emotes only chat? People can only... I like that that's an official feature. There's... That's not... That's like such a meme option for them to add. Slow mode, follower only chat. Oh wow, a lot of this stuff is just available to any numpty now. Review recent raids? Is that just like a list of people who have raided you? Alright, let's see. No, they're not real. Oh well. So I'm trying Twitch again, and they have a little timer for how long you've been live, and that seems to be updating. But I don't know that the viewer count is. Oh, these are resizable panels. Let's see if I refresh what happens. Okay, yeah. And the interface is kind of interesting. Twitch looks so different from 5 years ago when I last used it. So today we're going to be taking a look at some replays that people have emailed in. There's some team games, some 1v1s. Most of them are from like the last 3 or 4 months. Some of them, one of them specifically, is from last year, from 2019. It's a free-for-all that someone emailed in, so it is going to be an absolute grab bag of who knows today. But we got 6 replays to check out, and then, of course, the live stream VOD will be up on YouTube if that works better for you. Gonna try streaming on Twitch and then uploading the VOD to YouTube directly. And we'll see how that works out. Maybe it'll be better, maybe it'll be worse. Who knows? I'm gonna let the music play out for the next minute or 2, and then we'll jump into our first game. Of course, always good to grab a beverage if you got a tea or a coffee. I got water, sparkling water, and coffee today. I'm rocking the 3 bevs. All right. This is Sybert signing into the Roctagon. In Kane's Wrath, we have got ourselves a 4v4, and someone immediately moving to the middle of the map, making up our first team here on the left side of the map as our orange nod. This is Uranium. Their teammate as the Cyan GDI, it's TheSuperGrade. As the pink black hand in the north, it's SharinganFox. And rounding out team number 1 as our green Zocom, it's shardwalker. So that is our top half. It is from over here all the way to over there. So a little bit of an arc. It's not a perfect north-south split, which I guess you technically can't have anyways. But here in the south, as our, I guess, nod, maybe even Mark of Kane. As our blue, it is AbuChristam. And as the purple, also nod in the south, this is Charis. As our yellow GDI, this is HerrCasio. And as our red scrin of some kind, oh, Reaper 17, it's Straightfish. All right, those are our 8 players. I don't have name plates for them. I don't make a starboard for this. We're just going to be rolling with it as is, and you know, I've got the names written down, so hopefully I won't forget them. No idea how good any of these players are. No idea about any of this. We're gonna see how this goes. We might need that fast forward button. We'll find out. Who knows? Charis expanding to the middle, as we saw Uranium doing the same thing. I'm surprised he dropped, like, literally nothing. Most players will drop something there, like one refinery, before moving their MCV. But a couple of these players dropping almost literally nothing and immediately moving to the middle of the map. At least Shardwalker, who's playing Zocom, so he won't have any shards, which he will be contending against someone with Shardwalkers, as Straightfish is Reaper. Anyways, a couple of these players just going immediately to the middle super, super fast. So, this guy believes in sideways refineries. Both of his refineries placed sideways instead of pointing towards the Tiberium, like is a little bit more standard. SuperGrade dropping his war factory back there. You can make use of your allies' build radius if you want to go for a little bit more of an aggressive war factory placement, or go for the safer one back there. I don't know if someone was beaconing that someone else was trying to grab this, but SuperGrade does indeed mark that mutant hovel. He just wants to make sure that someone is keeping an eye on it. First bits of harassment striking out into the middle of the map. Descents, one Shardwalker, and a couple of Seeker tanks going to be hitting Shardwalker's original main base. Going to be putting some pressure on him right now, forcing him to sell off his refinery. And it looks like second Shardwalker and some Descents finishing off the Harvester. And that's the trouble. You lose that high ground, and then suddenly you can be attacked from multiple fronts. Our team in the south largely not deciding to move into the middle of the map. I mean, they are a little bit here, but not at all like our team in the north. Our team in the south is much more concerned about just hanging out in their base. Oh, wow. Abu going all the way up to Tier 3 relatively quickly here, and just on one base economy. He hasn't expanded to the middle, which is somewhat surprising. And Charis did expanded to the middle with an outpost, so no additional build radius there. As he sells that off, he's quite limited. No one moved their MCV down to the low ground. SharinganFox. Fox going for the cap of someone else's Tib Spike. And for now, Fox is going to have to try and hold off the Shardwalkers, the Descents, and the Seekers from Straightfish. And it looks like he will be able to do that with not a whole lot, actually. Oh, he has a couple of flame tanks, which would be tough to attack into. I don't know that he could actually overcome all of those units. Little skirmishes breaking out here and there. HerrCasio going to be losing one Predator tank before pulling back. And it seems like some players are really going heavy on the one-base play. I mean, SharinganFox has, you know, he's got the Tib Spike and a Hand of Nod down here, but no real economy to speak of in the middle of the map, and his main field is going to be drying up in the next minute or two. So he's going to be out of cash relatively soon. A couple of flame tanks right through the middle of the map. Uranium and SuperGrade continuing to hold strong over on the left side of the map. I mean, double refinery, triple or double war factory, triple or quadruple refinery here on the front line. Tier 3 up for Uranium. This is not like the Fast and Furious match that we saw in Tib Wars on the Roctagon, where it was a 2v2v2v2 with 8 players. This is 1.02 plus. Someone firing off a radar missile there. Oh, he did actually go up to Purifying Flame, so he did get the flame tank upgrade, which of course does give them the black decal. Loses both flame tanks, does a little bit of damage to the War Factory, but not a big deal at the end of the day. An additional MCV going to be popping on out for Uranium. It looks like that's his 3rd MCV. Could even be his 4th. No, just his 3rd. He could actually expand backwards to his main base now, and it looks like he may actually be going for an obelisk push. No! Oh, this MCV taking so much damage. The Avatar gets the kill. Very nicely done, and that's a stealthed Avatar, so the Disruption Tower going to be providing causing some potential problems as these players look to attack. Couple of, what are these? Shatterers. I almost called them shock launchers or something. I don't know what I was going to call them, but, couple of Shatterers mixed in with this army from our Cyan GDI player. And, well, 2 Avatars are here, but the Obelisks are actually somewhere else. So if this is a bit of a... This is a triple airfield follow-up from SuperGrade, and he is actually producing from all 3. So he's going to be looking to subvert the expectations of our defending players, and he's going for a bit of an attack from an angle. Expanding to the north is Straightfish, so Straightfish is just going to take a 2nd main base for himself. And now Firehawk's going to be bombing the Conyard of Abu. And Abu, he's got some forces to stand against this army. Now, fortunately for SuperGrade, he does have reinforcing Mammoth tanks going to be coming in. No railguns, though. Keep in mind, he is GDI, but again, no railguns. And Firehawk's continuing to bomb down the Conyard. Will be able to do bits of damage here. His allies going to be helping him out. It looks like Straightfish going to be pumping a number of descents right onto the front line here and going to be pushing this army back. They actually did eventually come into the range of that 2nd obelisk, I believe, as both obelisks firing off a little bit there. Firehawk's going to be dropping bombs on the Disruption Tower and actually getting an engineer as well. Not really necessary to use both Firehawks on the Disruption Tower. Going to be going for a 2nd Disruption Tower as well. Really wants to make sure that it's dead with all of those Firehawk bombs. And that's the problem with having the airfields this close to your opponents. The MCV will go down. He does get the kill there. And that's the trouble about having the MCV this close to your opponent is, you know, you do run the risk that as soon as they step outside of their base, they're going to be killing your airfield. MCV is down. Command post is down. This is a fully heroic flame tank as Sharingan is going to be pushing in on HerrCasio. HerrCasio not being assisted as much by Straightfish as his ally is. And our first player may end up falling. Fox doing some big damage to the infrastructure of HerrCasio. HerrCasio, I don't know where his army went. He must have already lost his army as he has basically nothing left in this base. Straightfish starting to strike out. He's going to be heading into the middle of the map and potentially also going for a bit of an attack on someone's main base. I think this is HerrCasio's last building, so HerrCasio will be out after this, and it'll be a 4v3. No, he does have something somewhere else on the map. I don't know, maybe an operations or maybe a outpost or something just hanging out, keeping him in this game. Not many times do you see flame tanks burning down shardwalkers, and a flame tank with barely any health left as well. The shardwalkers going for the crushes, and they will eventually be dealt with by this Black Hand force from Fox. The flame tank does actually manage to survive, albeit barely, and Straightfish is going to be losing the majority of his original main base. He has, of course, repopulated here in the somewhat northern position. Sharingan is going to be moving on out with a big infantry army, an avatar, or rather a purifier, as yet another radar jamming missile fires off and locks up the game for just a moment. This guy, SuperGrade, is a big believer in production facilities directly on the front door of your opponent, as a Marv is now produced. Keep in mind this is 1.02 plus. This is not 1.03, so epic units are stronger. They have much more of a central role in the game. Juggernaut's also mixed in here, and another radar jamming missile fires off as the game grinds to a halt. Still no railguns on these mammoth tanks, and it looks like these forces are getting a bit overwhelmed here as Abu takes over from Straightfish, and Straightfish is out of the game, and that, I think that's going to be it. This was really, this is one of those ones, yeah, Karis is gone as well. So this is one of those replays where someone sends it in, and it's really just them and their friends smashing someone, because that was not close at all. As it turns out, the team that took 90% of the money on the map also ended up winning the game with a huge, overwhelming army. This Marv is taking a lot of damage, and actually the Reclamator Hub taking some pretty significant damage from the Spectres as well. The Reckoning, or whatever that support power is called, being utilized there. There's not a lot of infantry dying that are going to be respawned, though. Mass buggy swarming in as yet another radar jamming missile fires off, and unfortunately for us, as the game grinds to a halt there. Again, I don't know why that frame rate takes such a tank, but it does. And that'll be pretty much it. I'm definitely glad I cast this one on the live stream, but was that a teleported away Marv? Or is that a hologram Marv? Oh no, that's Shardwalker's Marv. And HerrCasio has been defeated. Somehow HerrCasio, who died almost like 5 minutes ago to Fox's Black Hand flame tanks, was the last one in the game. All right, so yeah, that was a case of someone smashed another team, and then they thought it was a good game, but it actually wasn't. So that'll do it for game number 1. We have got some more replays to check out. Thank you, Bond Sam, for showing up. Now, okay, that's weird. Twitch is telling me the bitrate wasn't quite good, but now it seems to be fine. I don't know. That was weird. It says I've only dropped a couple hundred frames, so. All right, we've got ourselves a 1v1 after that to follow up our team game opening. Yeah, the God Rays are quite bad on that map. Like, they're so intense for the bitrate, but to deal with. All right. So now we're going to be jumping into a 1v1. All right, this is Sybert signing into Tournament LA. In the north as our purple. I didn't actually catch what screen he was. It's Guaspari. I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name. It's got a G and a W at the beginning, and that threw me off enough. In the south as our yellow nod, this is Engineer. So Guaspari or something, and Engineer, who could be smurfing for someone. Tournament LA is the map. This is a map that has shown a couple of good games recently. And, you know, the tile set is a little bit borrowed from Red Alert 3. There's the Burger Kong, which is always great. And then, of course, this billboard, which, you know, you got to advertise your business, man. You got Burger Kong, you got to advertise it. Anyways, in the north, it's not Reaper 17. It might be Traveler or Skrin. And, well, it's either Black or, no, it's not. We already knew that. Because of the militants. Oh, there is EMP Control Center. I don't know that I realized that. Has this always been there? Is that recent? Has there been a change to this map? I think this is just a one tib spike map for each player. You got your one tib spike, and then you also get your EMP Control Centers way out there on the beach, on the beaches of Los Angeles. Okay, Traveler 59. So Traveler 59 versus Nod, Guaspari versus Engineer, and, you know, so far, pretty normal-looking openers. Close refinery placement, but usually your refineries on your main field, you don't have to worry about getting clicked, usually by the time, unless they're fast-teching, usually by the time that they've got clicks to nuke your refineries. You don't have to... This you're going to be selling off one of these refineries anyway, so... Wow, Engineer. He is a big believer in lining up buildings, apparently. He's got 3 power plants all in a row, which, of course, Nod power plants, you know, they're very vulnerable to being attacked by anything, even just a little bit of a sneeze. So, Having 3 of them all lined up to quickly be eliminated could cause problems later in the game. We'll have to see if that actually does cause problems or if it's of no consequence. Relatively short walk to your natural expansion on this map. And, you know, is one of those new-ish maps. It's been around for a while at this point, but I still consider it new because it's not one of the original maps that shipped with the game. But it's one of the ones with a short walk to your natural expansion, which is a pretty common feature on a lot of the community-made maps. It seems like the original maps, they were a little bit more, you know, they didn't necessarily have 3 fields per player, and now it's like, it's almost weird to not see on a community-made map 3 decent-sized Tiberium fields per player, plus at least 1, you know, slow-grow blue Tiberium field. A little bit of a bike coming out from Engineer. He's transitioned into Scorpion tanks at this point, but it's just normal macro-oriented play. This is like, you know, if you had people say, you know, or if you took a mass survey and you wanted to look at the most common way of playing for the broadest possible swath of the audience, regular old macro play, that'd be the thing. 3 Seekers here on the left side of the map, going to be bopping out, and I never realized this before. What? It's an ice cream shop with, like, a lumberjack as a mascot, and it's the same thing over here. There could be other stuff going on, but who even cares? There's Lumberjack Man. We saw a big descent build up, 2 portals worth of descents, and the stasis chamber, of course, for fast legs here on the right side of the map from Guaspari. Going to be drawing over a lot of the forces to the left side of the map with those Seeker tanks, and the Scorpion tanks are indeed going to be chasing down all of those Skrin units, but little does he know that a big attack is coming his way. As these descents rush in, he probably doesn't have... He does have something cute on the base defenses. I don't know that it's actually a Shredder turret. He needs it down yesterday, and the descents are already on top, so he could go for the kill of the Shredder turret directly. Looks like he's just going to try and avoid it. He could indeed go for these power plants. This is 3 upgraded power plants and the Tier 2 all right here mixed together, and of course he sells off the operations center to try and get the kill on these descents with his Black Hand Squad, and he will indeed kill every single descent, but that attack was worth it, forcing the rebuild of all 3 of those power plants and the selling off of the Tier 2, which very possibly nuked his Tier 3 tech up. Even sells off that Shredder turret a little bit too soon, as Seeker tanks and more descents going to be coming in for a second wave of an attack, and this is a great move by Guaspari. Engineer not necessarily ready for this. A second Harvester does go down, a third gets eliminated, and now the reinforcements are here, so this attack will eventually be beaten back by Engineer, and he can recover from this, but more units going to be rushing in. They may be able to jump on top of these Scorpion tanks and overwhelm them. The Lightning Spike putting out a good amount of damage before it finally does go down. Second Shredder turret gets posted, which means this attack is now done. There's enough firepower to hold this off, even with the Black Hand Squad returning to the front lines. And Buggy going to be running over that billboard there, causing it to drop quite suddenly. Couple of Seeker tanks badly beaten, but it's going to be a Seeker tank transition for Guaspari, and this is just a great move by him to get his Tier 3 up. He's actually going double War Factory, so he's going for his 3rd base, and then he'll go for an Eradicator Hexapod, I imagine, from that point. But this would have given him the opportunity to kind of control the pace of the game, and you can retreat from that initial attack that he made, and then just go for a solid defense. His defense is being taxed a little bit here. Prodigy onto the front lines. Area Mind Control going to be grabbing at least one of these Scorpion tanks, forcing them to turn on their brothers. And it would have been nice if he had that the MCV landed so that he could go ahead and drop a couple of photon cannons. And it looks like a Scorpion tank or something did end up getting canceled there. The descent's going to be getting called back for the defense. No photon cannons, which is a little bit worrying. Guaspari had the opportunity to post at least 1 photon cannon while this attack was on the way. And he ended up not doing that. His MCV on the way to the third third field. He still hasn't even landed it, so no base defenses, you know, no buzzer hives, no photon cannons to try and deal with the Scorpion tank army, and he's actually getting overwhelmed. I imagine long-term he should be able to beat this back, but his main base is kind of thrashed here. Engineer being given the opportunity to strike back. Guaspari now going to be hitting the natural expansion. Harvester is going to be going for the kill of at least one of them. Two more getting pulled off the line, trying to save them as he's looking to attack the natural expansion of Guaspari here kind of in the north side of the map. All of the tech potentially under threat as the Prodigy needs to make his way back to the front line. It looks like the MCV has indeed packed up and or dropped down and been able to drop a photon cannon as well, which has the shard launcher upgrade. A couple of descents are here, but now it's low power mode for Guaspari. He desperately needs to get that power back online. This attack is even more dangerous, and the descent targeting down the MCV would be great if the Prodigy was over to cap the MCV and lock it down, but the first tripod is now out, so this attack will be beaten back, and the tripod either through crushes or the EMP will be able to get the kill and save Guaspari, along with the stasis shield going to be slowing everything down. Decent amount of blue Tiberium has built up. The descent's getting this Conyard down to, I don't know, 2/3 health or so. But overall, not a bad little attack coming out there from Engineer. He was actually able to muster up a decent amount of stuff, considering how much damage he took and the potential threat he was under. The defense definitely fumbled there by Guaspari. I don't know why he needed to lose so much. He could have held off that attack, I think, with a little bit more base defenses. He would have had to play it a little bit, you know, a little bit safer, but his MCV on the move. He's going to be losing this Harvester, which is unfortunate for him. Engineer starting to claw his way back in this game. Goodbye, Harvester. Engineer desperately trying to get up a third field. He doesn't, I don't know that he even necessarily needs to get up a third field just yet. He just needs to kind of rebuild and stabilize from all of the damage he took earlier on in this game. Tripod, a couple of Seeker tanks going to be stepping out to the south side of the map. And the Scorpion tanks running past this third base location. This is a lot of Harvesters all queued up. This would be an excellent time for a one-click if he had the cash. I don't think he's even up to Tier 3, though. Yeah, having to sell off that Tier 2, the Operations Center from earlier in this game. And this one tripod shredding absolutely everything. Buggies exploding, and Scorpion tanks will be dealt with by this tripod. No, he doesn't go for the crush. He doesn't. He kind of does go for the EMP on that one Scorpion tank. But the focus firing not absolutely tops here as he leaves a couple of those Scorpion tanks alive. And the tripod does actually go down, almost more to the damage from the infantry than the Scorpion tanks. But the Scorpion tanks, of course, doing the majority of the damage there. Now pulling back a couple of buzzer hives would be nice. Second refinery goes up. This would be, again, an excellent time if there was a one-click available to sneak out a TIB Catalyst missile and just totally nuke those two refineries. Buzzer hive behind the power plant, nicely placed there for Guaspari. Even a shock trooper here. Did he sell something off? Yeah, he sold off his Tier 3. So he is really strapped for cash here. Trying to get out these two refineries was apparently actually pretty difficult, having to sell off his Tier 3. So no more tripods for him. Looks like the husk has the husk got cleaned up there. So unfortunately for Guaspari, and turning into a real scrappy match between these two players. Engineer, not necessarily able to stabilize super well. He did manage to just grab a load of blue Tiberium. So one nice thing about having being on the offensive and attacking in this way is that you get the safe blue Tiberium behind it, which in this case, he's not necessarily going to be able to break this base. I don't know that Engineer can be successful in his attack of Guaspari here, but he will at the current moment be forced to pull back. Going for more blue Tiberium wouldn't be a bad idea either. Again, just trying to stabilize on the fields that he already has. He doesn't necessarily need to go crazy trying to take a third field. But a couple of bikes going to be swinging in the north. Engineer going for a bit of a backstab. Going to be able to clean up one power plant quite nicely. A second power plant upgraded could also be eliminated, as these bikes are just pretty much uncontested in Guaspari's base. Seeker's going to be fighting bikes, and, well, the Seekers are going to be winning that fight pretty handily. Rocket Squad pops on out, but it gets eliminated almost immediately, and it barely might end up surviving. No, it does go down there. Goodbye, Seeker Tanks. A couple of them will end up going down as they're trying to retreat away. No, a couple of them survive with barely any health, but the bikes will be able to clean them up. Nice split of the attacks there by Engineer. Does manage to grab 3 of the 4 Seeker Tanks, and the 4th one will end up getting eliminated as it backs into the Burger Kong. The drive-thru is closed, buddy. That's actually a 2-window drive-thru. I like that they bothered with that kind of a detail. Guaspari rebuilding, but also more descents here on the north side of the map. Also a mutant hovel. Wow, so there's actually a decent number of neutral buildings. The EMP, the mutant hovel, and then the expansion points. And, of course, the tip spike. But tip spike's much more common on pretty much every map. Second of little blue Tiberium going to be stolen away here by Engineer. Getting that extra income, always a good thing. Harvester going to be getting targeted down once more, and actually there's a second Harvester over here. He doesn't quite realize it. I think that was another operations center that just had to get sold off. Engineer unable to at any point actually tech up and get beyond these tier 1 infantry and units and vehicles that he's got. Last power plant will be cleaned up, so the main base and the natural expansion of Guaspari have been cleaned up. They have been eliminated, and even these descents going to be going down. Things are looking a little bit dicey for both players. Guaspari able to preserve his tech options, as it did take a long time for Engineer to actually clear out all of the infrastructure up north. And by that time, he'd gotten out his Tier 3, he'd gotten out his Warp Chasm, and now he's gotten out his Eradicator Hexapod, as that is not a sound effect you want to hear playing out over the map. Gunwalker's going to be marching north, but they are pretty much marching into just a wall of rockets as Guaspari just gives away 4 Gunwalkers there. Not quite for free, but almost for free, taking heavy damage on a couple more Gunwalkers as well. The Eradicator Hexapod, definitely enough firepower in this guy, especially with these descents all up in it, to clear out this army, but definitely enough firepower to push this attack back. Descents have short attack range, but they do a lot of damage, so that's one thing to keep in mind, is that if you can get on top of stuff with your Eradicator Hexapod, you can shred. Even getting a little bit of cash back with these kills as well. And the Eradicator Hexapod will march on forward with that Corruptor slowly following for the heal, just to make sure that it doesn't take too much damage. This could be a situation where Guaspari just chooses to Hexalame for the next 10 minutes as he builds up to like a Rift Generator or something like that. But we'll have to see. Eradicator Hexapod moving north. Engineer did manage to maintain a little bit of build radius here in the south at his original natural expansion and his main base, but now he's going to be potentially losing it to the descents. Wants to try and keep a hold of this refinery if he can. Sells off a Shredder turret just to get another militant squad out as his buggies finally do respond. He has not been able to get up to Tier 3, so there's no laser capacitors, no EMP coils, no Tib core missiles either. He did, of course, get the Secret Shrine. You probably noticed the Tib infusion on his infantry units earlier, and of course he does have the Confessor Cabal upgrade as well. So those are the only upgrades that he has been able to get out over the course of this game. Engineer playing from behind, at least tech-wise, for the entirety of this game. Of course, at the same time, he has been able to strike out a number of times and do some serious damage against Guaspari, who has managed to mount a defense down here at his 3rd base, but his defenses other places have been somewhat less successful. This is so many Corruptors following this Eradicator Hexapod. This Eradicator Hexapod, even if its beam cannons all joined up together, it's going to be able to take a lot of damage. Even killing off 2 or 3 of these Corruptors won't be enough to stop this Eradicator Hexapod from marching on forward. I mean, even if you killed all of the Corruptors, a couple of beam cannons all joining their beams together to quickly eliminate those Gunwalkers, and this could actually be problematic, as beam cannons will melt through tech buildings and an MCV so quickly. Warp Chasm gets sold off there by Guaspari, and this could be a little bit of a base trade scenario, as beam cannons do melt through buildings, and with a bike buggy support team, you can do a lot of damage. Eradicator Hexpod marches on forward. The Corruptor is going to ensure that it gets a kill on the Conyard. Goodbye, Conyard. Goodbye, third base of Engineer. And Engineer's perhaps his only chance, well, if he can kill the Eradicator Hexapod, maybe, but it's going to be tough with all of these Corruptors. And, of course, we saw Prodigy earlier in this game. I assume it has gone down at this point as we haven't seen it recently. But at the same time, Prodigy can always be rebuilt, and then your Eradicator Hexapod just teleports away. Corruptors going for the force fire, and in this case, there's enough beam cannons to overwhelm the Corruptors. The focus firing going to be eliminating Corruptor after Corruptor as Engineer tries to clear the healing forces of the Eradicator Hexapod, and then he surrounds the Eradicator Hexapod in the south. He lost his MCV, so no tech. There's the teleport away. The EMP nowhere to be found because, of course, with no MCV, with no tech up to that Tier 3, your EMP options are nothing. So in this case, actually, if only minutes and minutes ago he had grabbed an EMP control center, a couple of buzzer hives, or a couple of buzzer squads down here in the south, potentially to prevent that exact thing, as they're going to be moving out because EMPing the Eradicator Hexapod, stopping it from teleporting backwards, stopping it from hexalaming is, you know, a pretty important part of any defense against a Traveler 59 player in particular. Goodbye, Gunwalkers. Once again, Engineer mounts the defense and saves what little he has. He's got one refinery with a couple of harvesters reporting regularly. And then over here at his natural expansion, he's got 2 more harvesters. So in theory, that's not a bad little ratio, but he doesn't actually have access to that much close-by Tiberium. Could manage to steal some more blue Tiberium, potentially. Rebuilding at his natural expansion is Guaspari. He's got 1 refinery and 5 harvesters all queued up there. So he's going to have a lot of cash in those harvesters, but not necessarily in his bank account. As Corruptor is going to be taking a bit of damage. And will the Master or will the Prodigy try and save them? The answer so far is no. They are going to pick a fight with these bikes. And the bikes do manage to kill 1, maybe 2 of the Corruptors. A couple of them very low on health as the beam cannon's also going to be putting some damage onto this army. 2 more Corruptors showing up now for Guaspari as 3 more Corruptors actually. And they just get eaten up. He's giving these units away for free. He did not even try with that defense. Goodbye, Corruptor army. That is probably a dozen Corruptors or more who have gone down over the course of this game. Beam cannons getting chased down, vehicles who can't outrun descents, and of course 1 beam cannon down, 2 beam cannons down. The third may barely escape as this fully heroic descent squad ends up going down to the overwhelming firepower of Engineer, and that last beam cannon getting desperately close to being eliminated before it does manage to be saved by its teammates. Refinery still here. Crucial. Every piece of the base is crucial in this case. Not the secret shrine necessarily, as you know, you've got the upgrades. You're probably not just going to be producing rocket squads and maybe even Cabal or militant squads, but mostly just rocket squads for the rest of the game. Harvester's getting targeted down. Buzzer Swarm gets called in and clears house as so many of these rocket squads gets eliminated. The last Seeker tank barely manages to escape, and a couple of these buzzers going fully heroic, eliminating so many rocket squads, and they will eventually go down to the firepower of Engineer, but Guaspari taking a lot of damage there. The MCV back out on the field. The power plants can be rebuilt. A number of them just low on health, not actually eliminated in this case. And the Eradicator Hexapod stomping its way forward. It is single veteran status. However, in the north, the MCV could go ahead and expand out over to his original main base. Not happening just yet. The refinery finally goes down. Guaspari has broken the original main base of Engineer, and that Secret Tank also eventually going down, that bike managing to catch it. But now that the Eradicator Hexapod is back up, Guaspari with, I think, better income for the entirety of this game, and certainly the last couple of minutes with at least more access to Tiberium, I think he may be able to finish this one out. Playing from behind, Engineer has mounted an absolutely amazing defense, but this is going to be really hard to pull this off without any EMP options. And yeah, he has also not captured any of the EMP control centers. Although if you get 2 EMP control centers, do you get 2 EMPs? Because I mean, it's like a support power on the side of the... oh, there's the sell-off. Engineer has been defeated. That would have been a really tough hold for him in this case, but, you know, not quite able to make it happen. Guaspari able to take that game with the power of the Eradicator X-Bot, and that is a game that definitely does, I don't know, 80% of that win holds on the back of the Eradicator Hexapod. And man, that resource graph is unfair. At the end of the day, 60,000 credits more. I mean, you know, think about an MCV is $5,000. So he had so much money that he could have spent the same amount of his opponent and built 10 MCVs, and he still would have had more money than his opponent. Yeah. All right, that'll do it for game number 2. We've got a couple more replays to check out. Marek87, are you recommending a game? You got like a code 114362? Is that what is that comment for? I don't know what he just posted that in the chat. All right, we're going into our third replay of the day. First game, a little bit of a letdown. Game 2, you know, back and forth, topsy-turvy, not bad, but we'll see. We'll see how game number 3 turns out. So you guys know in Tib Wars there's Shock Treatment and Shock Trepet. Well, there's also someone in Tib Wars who goes by the name Lumos, and if he ever has a show match, it should be versus this guy. I'm going to take a quick couple-minute break here as I have to go wake my wife up. She was taking a little nap on the couch, so I have to go wake her up, and then I'll be back. That's the ID in command post. Okay, so if you email me the replay, then I'll just have the replay. That's a good way to send me. That's actually where all of these games came from, is replays that people emailed me. All right, I'll be back in just a minute. All right, I'm back. We are here on Tournament Dust Bowl, but check this out. There's no poker on this map. This is not Las Vegas. We just got a couple of destroyed buildings in the north as the blue-black hand. This is Jackster. And in the south as the orange-black hand, it's Lamas. Lamas versus Lumos is just as good as Shock Treatment versus Shock Trepet, if you know what I mean. Anyways, we've got Black Hand versus Black Hand. Another replay someone emailed to me, and, you know, this might just be like Scorpion Tank versus Scorpion Tank and then Man Spam versus Man Spam. But that probably wouldn't be a very good replay, and surely no one would email a replay of themselves that isn't a very good game. Surely. We'll find out. Jackster and Lamas. Do I know anything about these players? Absolutely not. But, wait a second. What is this? I missed something. Wait, where did that Black Hand squad come from? It didn't go for the upgrade. I don't know. I don't know what Lamas is trying, but, did he? No? I don't know what this guy is doing. He's being sneaky. I forgot to pause the music. It was supposed to fade out. What is this guy doing? There we go. This is what I was expecting to see. But it's just a black hand squad running around the map. Flame tank going to be coming out from Jackster. I think this was indeed spotted by Lamas, so he knows that this is coming. Powers down one of his refineries. Is going to be able to get out a no actual laser turret. Is he just going? He's just going bikes for the defense. Now this can of course work. Bikes can beat out a flame tank, and definitely in the long run, but this depends a lot on the control. The bikes aren't striking the flame tank early, so he is not responding to this basically at all. The flame tank now going to be going directly for the refinery. The flame tank not trying to pull around to the south side or anything. He's just sitting right there. He takes the damage, gets eliminated. Half of the health on that refinery is gone, and that is it. Black Hand Squad trying to flame down that tip spike, but not quite going to get it. 2 buggies able to clean that up. And, yeah, that was it. So, I don't know what Lamas' plan was, but if it was to get a Black Hand Squad out to be able to kill that tip spike, he was unable to do that. Harvester gets pulled off the line by Jackster, and he is going to be able to save that Harvester, no problem. Great control there by Jackster. Handled that attack very well, just like exactly what you should do in that situation. Short walk to your natural expansion on this map as well. Second war factory down before the 3rd refinery for Lamas, so he's going to be getting his war factory production up and running before his additional economy is up and running. Fairly normal harvester ratios from both players. A couple of harvesters were cut by Lamas, so he is going a little bit lighter on the eco and a little bit heavier on the production. And, well, he wasn't able to kill off his opponent's tip spike, so he doesn't have that kind of an advantage over his opponent. And Jackster transferring over his first harvester, so this could be a big double war factory attack coming out from Lamas that Jackster just literally does not have the production to deal with. We'll have to see. This is a lot of bikes, a couple of buggies also mixed in here. The Hand of Nod is still around, but the war factory is not producing anything. There's the refinery, that harvester being pulled off the line as well. Bike's going to be potentially busting into the main base. Laser turret does go down. Add a little bit of extra firepower and longevity. First harvester gets pulled, but it's a little bit too late, a little slow on the harvester, and the rest of the harvesters are still on the front line, so they're going to take maximum damage from these bikes. Even a little bit of splash damage on this 3rd harvester as he targets it down. A great opening aggression here from Lamas, so a little bit of a mid-game aggression here as his natural expansion potentially powering this attack up. And goodbye 4th harvester, and he trades out pretty much all of these bikes. This is a lot of bikes to trade out against this many harvesters, but slowing down your opponent's economy when they're that far ahead on harvesters is pretty necessary there. And man, these laser turrets, they could not go offline at a worse time. This harvester so close to death. A war factory needs to be placed down, or it needs to be brought off the line. Another harvester or another bike going to dive in, but he doesn't get the proper kill. He doesn't go for the actual attack. He was like A-moving or something. He runs right into the Scorpion tanks. And that was an interesting, that was a curious double war factory attack. You move your MCV over, so if your opponent scouts it, it looks to all the world like you're going for a normal expansion timing. And then instead, you cut harvesters a little bit early, you power up your 2nd war factory, and you just go mass bike buggy. Was it actually enough to make it worth it? 2 harvesters on this main field, 3 harvesters on the expansion, so 4 harvesters on the expansion now. So it kind of evened things up. There's a 5th harvester now out on the field or a 6th harvester as he places down an additional refinery out for Lamas. So these two guys relatively even in most cases. So that mid-game attack there, or kind of early game attack, I don't know, it wasn't a cheese opening, but it was still an early attack, but not necessarily like mid-game composition of units. Anyways, that attack, that was a fun little move there. I can definitely see in a slightly different situation that actually just kills your opponent. Like you get 2 or 3 extra harvesters. So then imagine Jackster up here in the north but instead of having like 6 or 7 harvesters that he has 3 or 4 from this point on for the rest of the game, right? So he's playing now this game, you know, with 2 fields potentially, but with not enough harvesters to actually saturate that. So, a nice little attack there by Lamas. I can definitely, again, see that in a slightly different game, it basically kills your opponent. Tip Spike healing back up to full health. No one going for the EMP control center in the middle of the map. You know, always nice when players manage to make use of the EMP. Lots of times you do grab it, and then your opponent just goes for the kill on the EMP control center because they don't want to deal with it. But occasionally, you know, you'll see a player just be allowed to get it. And I'm talking when it's a contested one like this. But when they just get it and, ooh, that was a curious case of hologram. I mean, directly in the middle of your opponent's units, so the holograms get cleaned up basically immediately. Tier 2, but where is the Tier 3? It looks like it's on the way. He also has some kind of base defense queued up. I'm guessing he's just keeping laser turrets queued in case he needs them for something. But there's going to be the Tier 3 right out of the gate. No pack up of the MCV, so he's holding off on his 3rd base before he, you know, he's holding off on his 3rd base, gets out his Tier 3 first, and I think he may even be going for a TIB chemical plant before his 3rd base gets underway. There's a lot of harvesters all queued up. If he had been a touch faster on it, he could have definitely grabbed a couple of those harvesters. Scorpion tanks for both players, dozer blades for both players, so they are about as fully upgraded as you can get. And he's actually going to be calling in Seed Tiberium on his original main field. Good choice there. And there is going to be the Catalyst Missile. Goodbye. That refinery, that... Was that harvester actually... That harvester actually, I think, survived. There's no dead body of a harvester. So... Goodbye refinery, and hopefully there could be a little bit of an attack from Jackster to finish off those harvesters. MCV moving to the south, moving to the 3rd base location, and that is what Lamas is here to try and prevent, but this is way too many Scorpion tanks from Jackster. Actually, no, Lamas, now that I look a little bit further to the south, he actually has a decent amount of infantry here as well, so he could potentially win this fight depending on how the crushes go, depending on how well the Scorpion tanks are utilized on each side. A couple of Scorpion tanks going to be stepping forward for Lamas, and Jackster potentially getting a couple of extra shots off there, but I don't think he was actually paying attention. I don't know that he was actually able to make use of that. Very low health Scorpion tanks. The spread of fire cleans up most of them, and Shredder turrets with the Charged Particle Beam upgrade going to be trying to eliminate these rocket squads, but this is a lot of firepower here from Lamas. He's got a decent amount of firepower to unleash directly onto these forces. Over on the right side of the map, no, that's actually just nothing. A little bit of a Tiberium damage to that infantry, and eventually Jackster should be able to beat this attack back, but at the current moment, Lamas doing some nice damage. He may even be able to start damaging the MCV with a couple of these squads to potentially get their flame damage directly onto the MCV, but no, the Shredder turrets are here to clean everything up. The last Scorpion tank from Lamas, very low on health, and will be eliminated, I imagine, shortly. Or last 2 Scorpion tanks very low on health. And they should be eliminated shortly. Oh my gosh. Jackster loses another Scorpion tank to a last rocket there from Lamas. A couple of Scorpion tanks going for the invade. It looks like a rocket squad as well. No, it was actually a Cabal squad. Eventually, Lamas does get cleaned up, but that's only round 1 of the attack. Round 2 is here a little bit to the right, and he does have 2 harvesters very low on health. Going to be going for the refinery as well as the first Shredder turret goes down, trying to clear the ranks of these infantry. And the infantry going to be getting some free damage on some of these Scorpion tanks as they try and retreat further away from the front line. The Tier 3 also vulnerable. A power plant up there that's upgraded could potentially take base defenses offline if Jackster depends too much on them. Lamas getting some good damage, but I don't know that he can really end the game right here, right now. This is a nice transition into his 3rd base, as he's going to be able to get his 3rd base up and running without any real harassment coming out from Jackster. So this attack is definitely buying him a lot of time. Sells off the Operations Center, keeps around the TIB chemical plant, so he wants to keep his options open, apparently, as Jackster will, I think, again, eventually be able to bleed out this army and Lamas may not have much of a follow-up after this. Last 4 or 5 Scorpion tanks standing strong here against the forces of Jackster, and Jackster is going to be losing at least these last 2 Scorpion tanks, I imagine. Now, the Shredder turrets are enough firepower to clean up these last 2 Scorpion tanks, and Lamas' attack has been held. But this is the amount of time that Lamas got to buy for himself. He's got 1 refinery in the south on his main field, 1 on his natural expansion as well, and he's got 2 refineries, plenty of harvesters here on his 3rd field. So Lamas is all ready to go into the late game. Now, a Redeemer Engineering Facility already up and running for Jackster, just now getting placed there, and I don't know that Lamas, in producing all of these attacks, he is not actually teched up very far. He doesn't have his Tier 3. He doesn't even have his Tier 3 started, so it's going to be a long time before he has any high-tech units. And, I mean, certainly a Redeemer is a long, long way away from him. He's just going to try and kill off the Redeemer Engineering Facility of Jackster, and Jackster can't actually defend this. He's got mass Shredder turrets, but they don't do that much damage to Scorpion tanks. I mean, yes, they do a decent amount of damage, but not enough to stop this many Scorpion tanks from killing off your Redeemer Engineering Facility. And, of course, there's no stealth because both players are Black Hand, so there's going to be the tip vein detonation. And, honestly, I assume this is Jackster's last hope of defending this attack. He does also catch that flame tank, so that flame tank would have done a lot more damage without that tip vein detonation, but that was a costly defense for Jackster on the right side of the map. He's got 5 or 6 bikes going to strike down a couple of harvesters of Lamas, and that's great for Jackster, both of these players. The 3rd field is so important. There's the transfer of harvesters back up to the north. I think Lamas ended up losing at least 1, maybe 2 harvesters there. We saw the 1 go down, but a 2nd could have easily been eliminated. Lamas, has he actually bought himself enough time to tech up to get up to that Tier 3? The answer is still no. So he's choosing to stay on these Scorpion tanks. He doesn't want no Redeemer. He doesn't want no high-tech late-game units. He is just going to be sticking with Flame tanks and Scorpion tanks. 2nd Redeemer Engineering Facility, no Purifiers really are cared about by these players, as a 3rd Flame tank does show up for Lamas. Can he actually do the infrastructure damage that he was hoping to do with the previous flame tanks? The answer is no, but the answer is nearly, as he gets some good damage on that refinery, but he does not eliminate it. However, this is too many harvesters for just 1 refinery, so the refining of this 3rd field is going to be a little bit slow. Finally, Lamas able to kill that tib spike of his opponent while maintaining his own tib spike. So late game, that will be a potential advantage that he has. Upgraded power plant and Tier 3 could both potentially be targeted down. Jackster going to be under trouble, as he is going to have to shrink his build radius down, I think, to just his 3rd base, to his Redeemer Engineering Facility. He has almost nothing to try and defend this northern part of his base. Dropping more and more power plants, but he's losing upgraded power plants on 2 different fronts, which will eventually take these Shredder turrets offline, and this is enough Scorpion tanks to contend with a couple of units that Jackster sent up to the north here. He sent 3 Scorpion tanks against this entire army of Scorpion tanks from Lamas. It looks like the Shredder turrets will once again be the heroes, as the Tier 3 and the Tib chemical plant both get targeted down. Another flame tank or 2 or 3 or 4 coming in for Lamas, and he is just going mass flame tanks. We see this sometimes from guys like Technique in the early game. They'll go for the flame tank rush, and they'll go for 6 or 7 flame tanks and just throw them at their opponent. The Tier 3 does stand tall. The Tib chemical plant gets eliminated or gets sold off, and the flame tank's still running rampant in the new main base of Jackster, and Jackster, with no options left, is going to have to GG out of this game, I think. He is still technically in this, but he has no production facilities. He has 1 refinery that's actually doing something here in the south, and he's got more flame tanks in his base. Lamas, on the other hand, other than that bike attack a couple of minutes ago, has had no real problems in this game. Goodbye, MCV. Goodbye, refinery. Goodbye, Jackster, as Lamas takes this game, this Black Hand mirror in this match. Well done to Lamas with the mass flame tank troll ending of Jackster there. And again, it was really about that 3rd base, getting that up and running, holding on to that, and securing it for later into the game. That will do it for that game, for that match. We have got a couple more replays to check out. Ooh, okay, so we're out of the 1v1s. We're now going to be heading into a team game. This is, I don't know that I've ever cast a game on this map. Maybe I have, but I don't think I have. Okay. Welcome to Tiberium Forest, or Tiberian Forest, I don't actually remember. This is a map with so much Tiberium on it. I love that there's even Tiberium down here on, like, the edges of the map, which is inaccessible to the players. In the north, on the left side, as our purple, I don't know, some kind of nod faction, this is Goffeffinho, or Jeffefino? I don't know. I'm just going to call him Jeff because it's easy. And then north of him, as the Cyan Zocom, is Uranium. This is a 2v2, so on the right side, making up our team number 2, returning from the first game, Uranium and Fox as our blue nod player on the right side. And in the south, as the red Zocom, it's drabard. So I think Bard and Fox, this guy's name is actually Sharing. Oh, is it SharinganFox? No, it's SharinganFox. I don't know. Whales are also hanging out on this map, so, you know, always say hello to the whales. One tip spike there, second tip spike there. So it looks like 2 tip spikes per team, 1 per player, and then a contested EMP control center here in the middle of the map with a lovely giant Tiberium crystal sticking out of that house. That's an unfortunate place to build your house, is where a Tiberium crystal is going to shaft up through your place. Blue field in the south. Again, as I said, whales are also apparently present on this map. And fairly standard openings thus far from all of our players. It doesn't look like anything too wild is happening. I mean, okay, so we actually do have Refinery into War Factory into Operations Center from Fox. And Fox, Uranium, and... Now, maybe it was just Fox and Uranium. These guys were both in our first game of the day, so hopefully this game is actually a little bit better than that initial one on Roctagon, but we'll see. If this is a flame rush, this seems very late. If this is some kind of a Reckoner rush, this is poorly timed. No, it's not. He just went fast tier 2? He didn't upgrade power plants. I mean, occasionally you'll see someone get their operations center and then they'll upgrade 1 power plant and sell the operations center off. But I don't know what this is. Beaconing your opponent or your ally so that they'll get their Tiberium spike. I don't know why he got this operations center. But at any rate, Jeff did manage to beacon it, so he said, "Hey, watch out! There's not flame tanks on the way." Although Jeff and Uranium have pretty decent map vision, like we saw a scouting unit heading through the base of their opponents, so I don't know what the deal is. 2 fields in the south, and then for your third base, you have a contested field in the middle of the map, both north and south, with a little bit of a Tiberium rift in between them. And I don't recommend swimming in that Tiberium water. As delightful as it looks, I think it would be a little bit problematic for you. Harvesters from the Bard are managing to steal all of this blue Tiberium. Very nicely done there for the Bard. He is going to get all of that blue Tib. 5,600 credits worth of it, and that is a good way to power up your mid-game, is stealing that blue Tiberium. And as long as he manages to safely get it back home and refine it, which it looks like he will be able to, Jeff showing up with a couple of rocket squads, but not quite going to be able to make it happen. Tier 2 down here for Uranium. Got his command post, got his AP ammo on the way. A couple of upgraded power plants up in the north. And Pitbull is going to be showing up. Looks like... Did one of the harvesters go down? I don't think any of the harvesters went down, so I think the blue Tiberium... Yeah, that was one of the blue Tiberium harvesters. So both of them did manage to escape. Uranium making kind of a last-ditch effort to try and attack those harvesters and take them down. But the Bard was a little bit too good with his defense with those Pitbulls. Pitbull in the middle of the map going to be taking a little bit too much damage from the buggies and the bikes and the Scorpion tanks as this attack from the Fox moves out into the middle of the map. Not a particularly strong attack with just those couple of units, but it's right into the tier 3 for the Fox. So eventually, he didn't need the operation center that early, and he kept around his Hand of Nod as well, which is also curious. Like, so much about Kane's Wrath is just optimizing for selling off buildings so that you only have the buildings around for like the exact minute that you need them, and then you just get cash back so that you can spend that sliver of extra money on something else. There's a scan. I think it did indeed reveal this tech lab, also calling in an Orca strike on this war factory. Not something you see very often. I mean, war factories have a decent amount of health. It's not like that Orca strike is going to do a particular amount of damage. And, well, but I guess it does do a little bit of extra damage, and if it turns into something later, I guess maybe that's good. Oh, it is the Zorka. So he did manage to catch a Scorpion tank. It is the Zorka strike. So he did catch a Scorpion tank, and if you caught it right when it's spawning, then it would have probably actually killed the Scorpion tank if the beacon position had been a little bit different. Pitbulls are no match to upgraded Scorpion tanks. The Scorpion tanks don't have dozer blades just yet, but they do have those laser capacitors. Couple of rocket squads going to be taking damage from this blue Tiberium. That's what that battle marker is there in the south. And it's going to be Scorpion tank versus Scorpion tank, Jeff versus the Fox, blue versus purple, and of course laser capacitors versus no laser capacitors. But, well, he does have laser capacitors available to him. Did we actually see what he was? Okay, so he is just Nod. So it is Nod v Nod and then Zocom v Zocom. So this is actually a mirror matchup between these guys. But a couple of them were actually playing random. So the fact that it turned into a mirror matchup is kind of funny. There's a lot of Zocom hammerheads that do get revealed here by the Bard. And the Pitbulls all get eliminated. Firehawks showing up. 4 Firehawks show up out of nowhere and bomb the tier 3. This is so many Firehawks from the Bard. Oh my gosh, he's got so many anti-air missiles trying to take down all of these hammerheads. He does eliminate a chunk of them, but how many airfields does the Bard have? It looks like 3 airfields, and he's going for a Marv after that. No, he's actually just got the Reclamator hub. No Marv necessarily. 3 flame tanks in the north by the Fox. He's going to be trying to strike down some of that infrastructure of his opponents. And it looks like the Scorpion tanks were heading north, but then they turn around. That's not good. Okay, I think he did just see them. Yeah, he may have seen them with his scouting squads. No, that's actually the Bard who has that building. But these Scorpion tanks walk right past the flame tanks. Are you kidding me? Such bad luck by Jeff. Jeff not realizing that those Scorpion tanks were, or that the flame tanks were right there. And I think this Conyard may end up going down. No, the flame tanks aren't all focusing down the Conyard. This third flame tank not actually doing anything. So actually the Conyard will barely survive this attack with about 33% of its health. Very nicely done there by Jeff, the accidental defense. And a little bit of a whiff there by the Fox, not able to focus all of his units. And oh my gosh, so many Firehawks showing up as there are some slingshots on the ground to chase away the Firehawks. But these hammerheads have to be extremely careful with that many Firehawks around to just deal with them. Marv now out on the field. Ooh, not often do you see players actually use the Zocom Shatter or the Zone Shatter or Overcharge. Not often do players actually use that. It does power down the Zone Shatterer for just a moment. And it, you do like extra damage, or it has extra range or something, but it does kind of accidentally EMP your own unit. And of course that is by design. That's just part of how it handles the, I guess, balance of the ability. It's a bit of a trade-off, you could say. Zone Raiders inside of that, inside of the Marv, or at least one Zone Raider. Second Zone Raider going to be popping on in there. We did hear the Redeemer just come on out onto the field, wherever that was. I guess it was up in the north or something? Oh, no, that was Fox's Redeemer. That's why. So it's 2 epic units versus none. Uranium and Jeff with no epic units on the left side of the map, but Fox and the Bard with epic units over on the right side of the map. And a couple of zone heads showing up for the Bard, going to be cleaning up whatever that was. Fox and the Bard going to be potentially taking the middle of the map if the Bard can actually Marvest it away. We'll have to see if he's actually able to claim much of that field. Zorka Strike coming in here, going to be doing some pretty good damage to that Harvester. Single Pitbull in the north, and Harvester's going to be under fire from these zone heads as they show up to do some nice gun damage to this Harvester. They kill a fully loaded Harvester, a Harvester fully loaded with Tiberium, as something else explodes there. I'm not sure exactly what that was, as the Bard running around with his Firehawks doing potentially big damage, but I didn't actually catch it. Jeff throwing down the Disruption Tower, so there's lots of stealth to go around. Everyone can be stealthed if they want. Firehawks, once again, finding their mark. The slingshots are here to, in theory, defend Uranium's hammerheads, but in practice, it hasn't worked out very well. Harvesters, Rocket Harvesters getting some shots off on these Firehawks, but as you can tell, Rocket Harvesters take a long time to kill anything. Maybe in 1.03, it's a little bit different. Redeemer Engineering Facility out on the field for Jeff, so he is building his own epic unit, but it's going to be 2 versus 1 even when that eventually does happen, and I don't know that Uranium actually has that tech up to get out his own Marv. I guess he could eventually get out a Marv, but not for the current moment. This middle field is getting Marvested away by the Bard, who's also controlled these fields, at least for a little while in the south. This is a surprising amount of Tiberium still on this map for being this late into the game. I'm surprised that these fields haven't been more eaten up by these players. The fields actually are regrowing pretty decently. Even in the north, there's 2 refineries here for the Bard, and actually he is full of cash, so he's not spending all of his cash necessarily. Another stealth tank shows up for Jeff, and Jeff unable to keep that stealth tank alive, as I think he's been spreading stealth tanks out throughout the map, and he has just not been able to do anything really with them. Rage Gen does fire off, and there is just nothing here really in the north for Uranium. I think he was really depending on those hammerheads surviving a little bit longer, but goodbye MCV, goodbye Barracks, even the armory getting targeted down there, and there are lots of slingshots, but slingshots are of course going to do a terrible job of contesting with this Redeemer. Although you'd think with the angle of their guns they would be able to hit the Redeemer from at least some kind of a up-close kind of an angle, but maybe it's just not to be so. Well, the Scorpion tanks get cleaned up, so that's kind of nice. By Uranium, he cleans up all the Scorpion tanks. He doesn't really have anything else. And the Avatar doesn't actually get... Oh, that Avatar survived 1 extra blast there. The Avatar doesn't actually get the kill on that War Factory. A little bit unfortunate there. And this Redeemer is going to try and escape. I didn't realize how low on health the Redeemer actually was in this game. But Scorpion Tank's now going to be showing up, and they will absorb some of the damage from this Hammerhead, but also the SAM sites are here to defend this Redeemer. Not much of a follow-up army for these players, and bombs spread across 3 targets. It looks like the War Factory did not take much of that splash damage as the Barracks and the Redeemer Engineering Facility both go down there. Repairs on this Redeemer for the Fox, going to be keeping it in this game. A couple of these slingshots taking a lot of damage here, but most of the slingshots, or one of the slingshots I should say, do manage to survive. Uranium, those slingshots I think were supposed to defend. Ooh, he did actually power down all 3 of those zone shatters. What is that called? Overload beam. Again, not something we see very often. Another stealth tank, potentially 2-3 stealth tanks here in the back of DeBard's base. And I love this from Jeff. I wish he had some kind of an other army to actually deal with any of the other units of his opponents. But he is instead just going for the stealth tank route, doing a bit of damage to this airfield. I don't know that he's actually going to be able to kill off any of the... Well, he will get one of the Firehawks. He actually gets potentially 2 of the Firehawks before all 3 of his stealth tanks go down, and he only killed like 1 Firehawk with that. So I'm not sure that that attack really worked out cost-effectiveness-wise. A couple of flame tanks going down from the Fox here in the middle of the map. Uranium managing to catch them. And there's so much green on this mini-map, but so much of it is not actually harvestable by these players. If only you could airlift harvesters down there to hoover up all of that Tiberium. This is so much Tiberium still unharvested by drabard and Fox in the south. And drabard's field is almost regrown to the size that it was at the beginning of the game. MCV getting rebuilt by Uranium, but it will get flamed down as these zone shatters do get the kill on one flame tank, but not necessarily the second flame tank, although a tib silo does come back online, and it does block off that flame tank for just long enough for the zone shatters to come back online. Venoms could go ahead and target down all of the missile defenders very easily before deciding to target down the MCV. The Redeemer going to be able to finish off this MCV no problem, as an Avatar is also here to strike down that MCV. Zone Shatter is getting some good damage off on this Avatar. Actually will be able to eliminate the Avatar, but the anti-air does go down. The MCV finally eliminated as well, as the Rage Gen fires off, and a power plant going down there for somebody. I'm guessing yeah, stealth tank. Here we go. Stealth tank running around in the base for Jeff. But now that this attack is pushing forward, I'm not sure what actual ground forces. Once again, the Firehawks strike out for drabard, but I'm not sure what kind of ground forces are actually here to stop a Redeemer, although at the same time, I guess it doesn't actually matter because the Redeemer decided to apparently turn around and go home. Well, these stealth tanks, I mean, they're doing a bit of damage, but I don't think they're doing nearly enough damage for their investment. That Spectre almost doing a bit of friendly fire there. Firehawks from drabard once again striking all over the map. A little bit of a sell-off there as Uranium is out of the game. It is just all over to Jeff. Jeff, who hasn't been able to do very much. He's been running all over the place with his stealth tanks, but other than that, he just has not been able to do very much in this game. And now the Fox is going to be turning his attention south. Firehawks bombing everything everywhere, trying to keep the power plants offline, as Jeff has had trouble with power for the last minute or so. Flame tanks burning everything down in their path, and Jeff has been defeated. Once again, Uranium and Fox, one of them sending in these replays, and these are not good replays. The stuff that people send to the email is definitely a grab bag, but this was definitely not one of the good matches in this batch. Thank you, those of you who have bothered to tune in to the Twitch. I wasn't sure if anyone was going to show up, and it looks like very few people have, but thanks anyways for showing up. Now we've got ourselves back into a 1v1. Hello, XAV Pig? Zav Pig? How do you pronounce that? How do you say that? Is this? Okay. So sometimes people will, when they email me, they'll like say what the replay is, and this one they just said Zavy Pig? But Zavy Pig. But in this case, they told me the factions and the map. So we'll see if this is actually good. But it'll be an interesting matchup if nothing else. Welcome to Small Town, USA, which is just a giant city center. It's not a small town, USA. In the south, as our purple Zocom, this is PurpleHaze. And as our red, that's right, Steel Talons, this is Enduo-san. PurpleHaze versus Endo something. And I forgot to write down their names beforehand. But Endo versus PurpleHaze. But yeah, they described this as Steel Talons versus Zocom on Stusa. So that's what they told me in the email. And it's like, okay, Steel Talons versus Zocom. This is one of those matchups that we don't see very often. We probably see it more in 1.03, but this is 1.02 plus. This replay is a little bit older. But 1.03, this matchup would probably look a little bit different. But it's one of those matchups that we have seen some just great games in this matchup in the past. But it's one of the uncommon ones. You know, a little bit like seeing Reaper 17 versus Traveler. And it's like, in that case, you know, 1.02, the Traveler player is probably going to win, but things are different now. Endo versus Purple, and PurpleHaze actually manages to get this building. This is such a great building to grab. If you can get any of the buildings that are close to your opponent's base, like check out this build, this vision radius that he has provided by this building. I mean, he can almost see his opponent's tip spike over there. He forgot his second power plant, it looks like. Didn't want to take anything offline to get it out a little bit more quickly. And MCV might go ahead and pack up for the expansion. It looks like it's going to be the expansion in the south for Endo, our Steel Talons player. He's going to be going for the southern field. And no pack up of the MCV thus far from Purple. He's going right into Tier 2. He doesn't start... AP ammo. Okay, there we go. AP ammo on the way. So he's going something with AP ammo, and he's keeping his MCV here at his main field. Oh, this is so annoying. You got to love that movement pathing, that movement bug. So the MCV will pause itself, and then you have to tell it to keep going. MCV taking a good bit of damage as it goes south to unpack at its expansion location. It's actually double War Factory, so he's going AP ammo, double War Factory, and low power mode as well. Could have upgraded one of these power plants, but he maybe didn't have the cash on hand right that moment. Titan's going to be marching on out for Endo, and Endo could just be looking to buy himself a little bit of time, but no, he's actually going second War Factory as well, so he's not even looking to get his economy up and running right away over on his natural expansion. He is looking to output some forces and do some damage as he is stomping his way to the southern half of the map. MCV on the way to the north for PurpleHaze. So they are going to be gentlemen about this. Occasionally you will see players be absolute mad lads, and after they see where their opponent's MCV is going, they will go for the exact same spot and try and fight it out in that one corner of the map. And sometimes they can make it work. But I don't know that I would go. I don't know that I would try and make that work. Titans versus Predator tanks, although in this case it is 5 Predator tanks, 6 Predator tanks versus just 1 or 2 Titans at a time. Another 3 Titans on the map here, but 2 of the Titans already got eliminated, so the forces are already in favor of PurpleHaze. And I mean, you know, with these kind of numbers, Endo is base pushing just directly at his opponent, and he could even drop another War Factory eventually down here for the frontline repairs. It looks like he has sold off his original War Factory back in his main base. The Pitbulls may actually be seeing this by PurpleHaze, so he may know that this is going to be a potentially very committed attack. There's no economy to follow this up, so the money that you've got right now is just about the money that you've got. There's a little bit more Tiberium on the main field, but here's the frontline War Factory for these Titans to hang out behind and fire from the back of, as well as some repairs. Even one additional MRT wouldn't necessarily be a bad call with a rifleman inside of it. It's going to be into an airfield for PurpleHaze, so PurpleHaze going to be trying to hold off these Titans with some kind of units from the sky. Could actually go Zorkas as well. 1 Harvester, 2 Harvesters getting crushed. PurpleHaze going to be losing potentially a lot of these Harvesters, forced to sell off a refinery and a War Factory here on the front line. 2 Harvesters do manage to escape to the north, and PurpleHaze needs to draw this game out. He is going to have to go backwards eventually, I think, and reestablish himself on this field. But no, Endo is going all out. He sells the War Factory back at home, going to be producing a couple of Pitbulls to try and deal with these Hammerheads. But these Hammerheads, of course, have AP ammo and the ceramic armor upgrade. So there's going to be the Tier 2 coming up from Endo. And Endo, he's going to be able to kick, at least for the current moment, he's going to be able to kick PurpleHaze completely out of his original field. 2 more Predator tanks going down as everything gets cleaned up. Needs to go ahead and target down all of the power plants, get the Tier 2 as well, and then drop a barracks so he can take over the tip spikes of his opponent. You really want to claim those tip spikes if you can, so you've got that safety kind of backup income. The MCV actually moving backwards to the natural expansion location after dropping a War Factory and a command post basically in his opponent's main base. He's chose to back up and just go for a normal expansion, I guess. Rifleman versus Rifleman. Too bad that Rifleman wasn't inside of a heavy harvester, as a couple of MRTs get produced here, and even a couple of slingshots as well. So he's actually taking this air threat very seriously, which is fair because your opponent is Zocom. I almost said his opponent is Zorka, which is what I was thinking, but not necessarily what he would be, what faction he would be. No Barracks, kind of curious. It looks like he might have a refinery queued up. There's going to be his first refinery on the expansion, of course, significantly delayed behind that of his opponent. But, of course, that aggression was the reason why. And I don't think there's any engineers inside of these MRTs. No, these MRTs are just mobile repair in this case. And it's going to be a lot of rocket squads and hammerheads to try and hold this off. Purple is going to be able to eat up one MRT pretty quickly there. But the hammerheads are going to be able to stand strong, at least for the current moment. Rocket squads, I don't think they're really inside of the hammerheads. I think it's just hammerheads and then just rocket squads on the ground. Pitbulls and MRTs getting eaten up. Endo's attack is falling flat on its face. And maybe there are a couple of rocket squads inside of some of those hammerheads. I don't think they all have rocket squads, though, as slingshots show up to clean out those hammerheads. A Wolverine steps forward, but this is a mistake. I think that was either a bad rally or a misclick there from Endo. Sells off the command post, and actually he's going to be targeting down the tib spike of his opponent, so he is not interested in getting that additional income for himself. He's got his 2 tib spikes in the north. He's got his own command post out. He's got his own AP ammo now on the way as he has rebuilt his command post at a more secure location. Although technically, I guess PurpleHaze has also had to do that. Endo, he's lost a good chunk of his army. He's also lost the element of surprise. Wow, 2 Pitbulls unable to avoid that Zorka strike as the Hammerhead's going to be showing up to fire off a couple of rockets before they pull back, and I assume go for some repairs. No, they're actually going to be trading out and trying to trade out against these Wolverines. An additional rocket nearly taking down this extra Wolverine, but it does survive Endo's forces, a hodgepodge of everything, and PurpleHaze's forces extremely weak but mobile. I mean, the Hammerheads can tank a decent amount of damage, but if it comes to a ground fight, if it comes to actually having to fight army to army, the Hammerheads are going to have a tough go of it with pitbulls, with slingshots on the ground from Endo. Endo's going for the ground army and a direct engagement, and on the other side, PurpleHaze is going for the mobile harassment force. Needs to go ahead and finish off that power plant, forcing the sell-off of 2 upgraded power plants. It's going to send them into low power mode, and that's going to be a lot of cash to rebuild all of that stuff. But it's going to be Hammerhead versus Hammerhead. Guess what? My Hammerheads are just better than your Hammerheads. Although if my Hammerheads aren't actually attacking your Hammerheads, then that's something else to be said. Anti-air battery is now finally online, as losing all of those buildings was enough of a power difference to bring all of that stuff back online. Hammerhead's taking lots of damage, but again, this is a bad move for Endo. He's fighting Hammerhead to Hammerhead, but he is just giving his forces away, even giving some veterancy away to PurpleHaze, and now PurpleHaze is up to a Marv. He's got that Reclamator hub out. He's got that Redeemer, that Marv on the way. Redeemer wouldn't make any sense. And once again, the Tib Spike being killed instead of captured. That power plant surviving. He would have been offline even longer. Endo would have been offline even longer if that power plant had gone down. And of course, Tib Spikes in the north do make very obvious targets to potentially be hit by these Hammerheads, as they are not going to be very well defended by Endo. And a slingshot actually going down before any of these Hammerheads get eliminated. 3 of them are, halfway down in health or so. And a single rifleman from PurpleHaze doing a little bit of damage. 2 riflemen and rocket squads of Endo. As Endo actually loses everything there. A little bit unfortunate there. I think they were supposed to defend something, or they were just going to be a random attacking force of very few units. A couple of Zone Raiders out on the field. They do get eliminated before they actually jump inside of that. No, actually, I think one of them did jump inside of that Marv. So, there you go. That is a very nice move there by PurpleHaze. His name is literally his color as well. Once again, the Zone Heads do manage to escape. The MCV under threat, and the entire army has been defeated and pushed back. This MCV going to be going down, as there is just nothing really here to defend, at least against the ground. There are a couple of AA batteries here for Endo, but yeah, loses the MCV. That was his second MCV, so he did bother producing 2 MCVs, which is a little bit strange that he bothered doing that, but I guess he was more confident in that base push But he definitely should not have been confident in that base push. PurpleHaze smashing everything. Endo not even bothering to retreat away those units. He's literally just giving them away. Firehawks with, I assume, anti-air missiles going to be the choice for Endo. And Endo may actually be able to catch these hammerheads when they're all clumped up if they, well, let's see. They're a little bit spread out now. They're not the most clumped. They do absorb a lot of damage from the Firehawks, and the Firehawks actually taking a lot of damage from these zone heads. I cannot believe how much damage those zone heads, how well zone heads trade against Firehawks, apparently. 2 Firehawks exploding as the airfield goes down. I guess they had... the animation hadn't quite played out, but the game thought that they were docked at that airfield as how they were about to land, but technically had not landed just yet. Tungsten has been purchased as these Firehawks coming in for PurpleHaze, but they do manage to escape. At least one of them does manage to escape. PurpleHaze going to be taking Endo's original field, while PurpleHaze himself with a double Zone Raider, Rocket Squad, and Engineer Marvists up his old original main field. Zonehead versus Tungsten. A little bit of a different situation here. And, ooh, the Slingshot does barely manage to get the kill, and the Slingshot has to trade out his own life for it, as these rocket squads from PurpleHaze are standing guard in the north. They're really just here to defend against to defend this Harvester. PurpleHaze, this is his game to lose. Absolutely, he has got his opponent cornered. He has been able to tech up over the course of this game. Somehow, Endo has actually got the cash to get out a Redeemer, get out his own Marv, or at least get one on the way. One of the Tiberium spikes has actually been grabbed up by PurpleHaze, and he finally kills that power plant from like 10 minutes earlier in this game. He did eventually manage to kill off that power plant. Well done there by PurpleHaze, eventually gets it. Second engineer is now produced and going to be able to jump inside of that Tiberium spike to get that extra income. This is going to be a tough base to break, but I assume between the Marv, oh, he's even brought on sniper teams. The Marv should be able to deal with the most of this. Oh, orbital bombardment getting called down, splitting these rocket squads, and this is the perfect opportunity for the Marv to strike. There is always the chance of a Space Command uplink firing off some shockwave artillery to lock down the Marv of PurpleHaze, but I think that's where you got to keep the hammerheads at least somewhat close by. There should be a lot of hammerheads somewhere. Okay, they're here at the original main base of PurpleHaze. And I think, well, shockwave artillery going to be firing off potentially for both sides, or that's an Orca strike, yeah, as the Orcas do come in for our Zocom player. The rocket squad's going to be bum rushing this Marv, but they don't have nearly enough firepower to do any real damage to the Marv, as even the anti-air does get locked down and destroyed as the shockwave artillery fires off, and goodbye. Everything gets EMP'd, even the ion cannon, as Endo has been defeated, and PurpleHaze takes this Zocom vs. Steel Talons on Stusa. That was actually a pretty good game, pretty fun one to watch, and some definite mistakes are made by both sides. Endo trying to fight hammerheads versus Zocom hammerheads. Not a great move there, not a great idea overall. And that will do it for this game. I think we have got one or maybe two more replays after this, but we are getting kind of to the end of the stream as we have moved through most of these replays at this point. Yep, we got one more. This is an FFA, and this is the old replay, the oldest replay that someone sent me. The oldest replay in this batch of replays that people have sent. So, we shall see. All right, this one I actually do have names written down for, so I can refer to them a little bit better. All right, welcome to Tiberium Gardens 5 or something. I don't actually remember what this is called, but it's something Tiberium Gardens. It's another one of these maps with crazy cloud lighting. In the north, as our orange GDI, this is AtomicEggs. Those are not the kind of eggs that I want. And then to the left, as the green-black hand, it's valdelis. In the south, as the red-black hand, it's BikeRushOwnz. And in the southern center-ish position, as our purple black hand, it's CNC 1995. Finally, our 5th player in this FFA, it is, as our Steel Talons, the Cyan, going to lose. And no, I'm not commenting on his chances in this game. His name is literally going to lose. Now, the interesting thing is we have GDI, Steel Talons, and then 3 Black Hand players. But I think everyone played random. At least the Black Hand players all played random. I did check that. But I think everyone may have actually played random, which is funny that, again, we get 3 Black Hand players out of the random draw in this game. Valdez, Bike Rush, and CNC 95. So 2 GDI, 3 Black Hand, no Scrin in this match. This is not a map that we see a lot. This is kind of a weird one because you do have 4 Tiberium fields in your main base, but it's not a symmetrical map, which is a little bit unusual, but this is also a callback to either a Tib-Sun map or a Tib-Dawn map. I don't remember which one it was, but this is a asymmetrical map that is in a different Command & Conquer game that was kind of recreated, which is why this is Tiberium Gardens like 5 or whatever, because it's 5 players, and the other one was, I think, a 3-player map? I don't remember. Anyways, we got Bike Rush, we got AtomicEggs, Valdez, CNC 95, and going to lose. So it is going to be a wild ride, but of course Bike Rush is the clear favorite in this game. The rest of these guys may very well be Smurfs. I don't know them necessarily. I didn't bother looking up their names. But anytime you got Bike Rush in a game, he is either going to be a favorite to win it, or everyone is going to gang up on him and try and eliminate him from the game immediately. Which, you know, can be frustrating to play as everyone just attacks you and instead of attacking each other in a way that a normal FFA would be if one of you wasn't Bike Rush. So far, fairly standard openings. There are some times where in an FFA you can go for a Flame Rush or, you know, a Reckoner Rush. You can do something weird right out of the gate. Not weird, but something cheesy and rushy and aggressive. You can do something right out of the gate, and you might catch one of your opponents off guard, and if someone seems ready for it, you can always just go attack someone else with it, and they might not be. But in this case, no one really going for anything too aggressive or too crazy. I just realized this is one of the very few maps with no, like, capturable structures. There's no neutral structures for people to get. That's kind of interesting. Also, I think there are no buildings that you can even garrison on this map. Like, obviously, there's the destroyed buildings, but yeah, I think this is, like, literally nothing that you can send infantry into. Which, you know, kind of makes sense. This is a red zone map, so that's what you should expect. Valdez is going to be teching up, getting out his Tier 2. I assume he's going to be going up to Tier 3, and the race to Redeemer is possibly what this game will end up being. Although sometimes in these FFAs, people like to keep it fairly light and easy. They like to go for, you know, mass pitbull, mass bike buggy, that sort of thing. But, you know, I can also see players just more turtling up and going for straight into their Redeemer, straight into big army kind of plays. Valdez doesn't look like he's necessarily doing that. Probably worth dropping an extra refinery here, as you've got these 3 Tiberium fields going into the north side of the map. I guess this would be a potential spot to stick some units on the ridge to harass down into those Tiberium fields. CNC 95, going to be long-distance harvesting from the middle of the map. Not really a great place in the middle of the map to drop down any kind of buildings. You can kind of clear out an area and then drop down refineries to get some extra harvesting from the middle of the map. And we may see that kind of in the later stages of the game. Valdez still not really going for anything. Up to Tier 3, up to multi-MCV is Bike Rush, and he may be looking to move out onto the map and just, like, obelisk push someone. AtomicEggs in the north, up to Tier 3 as well. He has got his command post. It looks like he already purchased APM. I think that's the upgrade there on the ground. As these hammerheads going to be running around and, at least just for now, guarding this base. Going to lose our Steel Talons player, also going for the Marv, going for lots of Titans. And Bike Rush The first player going to be trying to strike on out. He has got himself a Tib Vein Detonation, going to be doing some big damage to these, well, not actually the Harvesters so much. The Harvesters still have about half health. He is instead going for the Harvesters in the back of the base, and he's like, instead of just harassing from the high ground, I'm going to harass from the low ground. And this is enough bikes that he can pretty easily overwhelm these Harvesters and get these last 2 Harvester kills. So goodbye pretty much the entire economy of Valdez, who didn't really have much of a chance. Now with triple Shredder turrets, all with Charged Particle Beam upgrade, and BikeRushOwnz is just pushing into this guy's base in every possible way. Bike's getting pulled back to the front line for Bike. He cleans up all of the Harvesters. Valdez, while he's not literally out of this game, he has no economy. He has no Harvesters. He's basically dead in the water, and for some reason, he is sticking around in this game. I think he thinks he might have a chance if BikeRush leaves him alone and no one else attacks him for a little while. Curiously enough, AtomicEggs taking this opportunity to give away some hammerheads and just donate them to save the children this year. They needed a couple of extra hammerheads, and that is exactly what we just saw. AtomicEggs, I don't know what just happened. Very likely someone typed in all chat. Oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. Number 1, BikeRush stealing his opponent's Tiberium, and number 2, Shredder turrets to kill buildings. Do you have Tier 3? Do you have Charged Particle Beam? You've got nothing going on here. Going to lose and CNC 95. It looks like they will be clashing here on the right side of the map, a little bit south of where we were just looking. And, well, Zorka's going to be, or actually, no, that's just regular Orca Strike, because, of course, he's GDI. AtomicEggs, I don't know that this is an official teamsman kind of thing, but he is definitely striking out against BikeRush, mostly to defend Valdez. But, I mean, Valdez, I'm not going to say he has no chance, because everyone's got a chance in an FFA. But AtomicEggs is attacking BikeRush in a really weird time, and in this case, he's giving away units in very small amounts. I'm not sure what he's doing with those hammerheads, what his hope is in this case. CNC 95 taking some damage on that Harvester. He's going to have to figure out a way to deal with this Marv. I assume he's got EMP coils. It looks like he's researching it just now. He got Charged Particle Beams, and he got Tib Missile. I almost called it Tib Catalyst Missile. That's a different thing. That's not an upgrade. Tib Core Missiles. And, I guess if AtomicEgg wanted to sit here, he could potentially shell the Redeemer from there, from a relatively safe distance. But I hope he's got some EMP options ready, because BikeRush is going to be coming with a Redeemer. Valdez still in this game for one reason or another. Nobody knows exactly why. But power plants and the operations center are going to be going down. The MCV will soon be eliminated, and Valdez will literally be kicked out of this game because he has nothing. Spectre going to be firing some big shots away at this Marv. No EMP to lock the Marv down, which means the kill is not guaranteed. The Marv is allowed to escape, at least for now. MCV is here for BikeRush. He called it out from the high ground, and Orca Strike called in on top of these Spectres. One of them goes down, second one heavily damaged, as BikeRush is now going to be dropping additional refineries, and BikeRush is going to have extra income here in kind of the north part of the map, 2 entire Tiberium fields to harvest for himself. AtomicEggs not really striking out against anyone except for BikeRush. He's got a Marv with 2 engineers and 2 zone troopers inside of it. And, well, the Juggernaut is actually going to be shelling this SAM site, so that is something. Goodbye, Valdez. He has been unable to recover from being literally attacked and base pushed by BikeRush, which is not terribly surprising. That is a difficult thing for anyone to survive, and Valdez had a rough go of it spawning close to BikeRush. He possibly could have done much better for himself. Ooh, Firehawk's going to be able to bomb nothing, as Valdez has been defeated, and goodbye MCV, except not. The laser fence saving the MCV, but also those Firehawks, I don't know if did they Stratofighter like slightly too early? They may have actually Stratofighter just too early. And not actually killing off that MCV and survived quite nicely. I just looked over at the chat and wow. Fear Dragon calling me out for saying this guy is going to lose, which, you know, is fair because that's his name. A lot of Firehawks for our Steel Talons player. A lot of Behemoths. This is just a mess of an engagement. I have no idea how these guys are going to be able to break each other in an efficient way. This is going to be an absolute mess of a match when these guys eventually clash. Right now, everyone is playing the just wait for Bike Rush to attack and maybe I can be the last one surviving game. More Spectres going down to the Orca Rush as orbital bombardment cleans out a big chunk of Bike Rush's infantry army. Shockwave artillery also going to be firing off. I'm not exactly sure where. It looks like it was over here on the right side of the map as Juggernauts get massive damage against these avatars. Not so much the Redeemer. They may actually be better off targeting the Redeemer. They're actually splashing down their own Marv by utilizing the Raider buggy as a target. Firehawks bombing the ground, doing literally nothing as that Redeemer just walks right past all of their damage. And the Firehawks desperately trying to damage the Redeemer, but they're not quite hitting him with their bombs. They're getting a little bit of damage there, and this Redeemer going down mostly to the mass behemoth firepower of Going to Lose. Spectre Artillery is going to be returning fire, but now Bike Rush may actually be turning his attention. No, he's not turning his attention to CNC 95. He's going to be going for AtomicEggs as AtomicEggs loses all of his Juggernauts, loses all of his artillery, and he's just got the Hammerheads to try and contend with these Spectres. The Spectres will be potentially targeted down. No, the Hammerheads stop attacking the Spectres, trying to deal with some of these rocket squads on the front line, and goodbye Marv as BikeRushOwnz is going to try and chase down this Marv piece by piece. The Spectres backing up his Redeemer as he even drops a nuclear missile silo somewhere on the map. Hammerheads showing up to die mostly. They are not showing up to do really anything else. The Marv goes down. Tip Vapor Bomb fires off just to clean up house and make sure that nothing survives. Even the Mantis is getting some amazing damage off on those Firehawks. One of them going down instantly, second one getting narrowly surviving, and Bike Rush is just going to clean up AtomicEggs. And then there were three. Losing a Redeemer, but not beaten back. CNC 95, he actually didn't take very much damage. He's doing okay. Bike Rush still has an entire field to harvest away. Refinery going to be going down. AtomicEggs again. He's still in this, but he's not in this, so. Goodbye, AtomicEggs. You tried. You tried, and it wasn't quite enough. And now, you're an omelet. A double Vet Redeemer for Bike Rush. 5.5 minutes on the clock for that nuke. And double Airfield Firehawks trying to strike him down. Now, at this point, it's very likely that everyone in the chat, and by everyone I mean CNC 95 and Going to Lose, in the chat are literally talking to each other and being like, hey, you should attack Bike Rush. We should both gang up on Bike Rush because that's the only way we are going to win. Rage Gen fires off. Bike Rush trying to escape. A couple of Titans going to be going down. These Behemoths targeting their own units and also clean up a Harvester of Bike Rush. Bike Rush doesn't necessarily need a lot of Harvesters this late in the game with this little Tiberium on the map. He needs a couple back home for each of these fields, and then he needs a couple over here for that big field. But Bike Rush may have to contend with two players at once. Of course, he does have a nuke going to be firing off in a little over 4 minutes, so that could help him clean up one of these armies. But we'll have to see. Spectre against Spectre could be in the south, while in the north, Behemoths versus Infantry, as BikeRushOwnz, fully upgraded, powered up, and ready to go, is looking to strike out against Going to Lose. He's looking to make his namesake as honest as it can be. And we may need to see some EMP Raider buggies be produced by Bike Rush, but he doesn't have that much production, all things considered. He's got like 2 war factories. Harvester's getting targeted down by Bike. Behemoth's going to be able to clean up some of the infantry from the high ground. And Spectres, I'm guessing. Yeah, Spectres on the low ground going to be targeting down these Shredder turrets. Not necessarily the biggest threat there, as BikeRush and his multi-MCV has lots of Shredder turrets to spare. Ooh, Mantis versus Hammerheads. Two Hammerheads end up losing to that Mantis, and the Mantis does barely survive. It's going to be rockets and engineers inside of the Marv for going to lose. His Hammerheads are also going to try and help out this Marv in this engagement. This is so many Spectres potentially putting out power, but no, BikeRush has actually pulled his entire Spectre army down to the south, I guess, or he's lost some of them, as, yeah, they're all down here in the south, 7 or 8 Spectres firing away at CNC 1995, and this is the opportunity. This is your chance. He doesn't take it. The Marv does pull back in the south. It's Redeemer versus Purifiers, as BikeRush is going to be trying to find some kind of an angle of engagement that will work. In this case, he does manage to get it. Oh my gosh, a fully heroic Redeemer on the field with his white laser beam just blasting through avatars, unable to really deal with infantry. And that may be it. A heroic Redeemer out on the field may be all that anyone can do, can take, as it takes down a refinery in just a couple of shots there. EMP coils, will they be activated? Yes, they will. No, that one barely on the edge of range as it fires off, but the animation was a little bit too slow as the actual unit attached to it ended up dying. 4 Raider buggies going to be rushing forward. They will be able to lock down this Redeemer, but no, they lock down each other. They eliminate each other as BikeRush's Redeemer escapes yet again. Firehawks bombing, I guess, was that a Spectre? They bombed the heck out of something. They really bombed that thing into the ground. 6 feet under is a little bit too far for that unit. And never have we seen someone whiff so many EMPs, as these EMPs, some of them are actually firing off, but as you can see, the units are dying before the EMP actually takes a hold because the Redeemer fires so quickly when it is fully heroic like this. BikeRushOwnz with a fully heroic Redeemer chewing through just so many units. And it's like you may have supporting units, but the EMPs are locking down everything for CNC 95, his own EMPs, causing him to lose this engagement as Spectres fire off against the Redeemer but are unable to lock it down and kill it off. And against the rear armor, BikeRushOwnz does so much damage with his fully heroic Redeemer. The EMP fires off, locking down once again his own units. Finally, no, he still doesn't manage to EMP the Redeemer of BikeRushOwnz. BikeRushOwnz Redeemer fires so quickly with that laser. He kills so many EMP Raider buggies. And this is pretty much it. What can stand against the power of a Redeemer? The answer is very little, if anything. Shredder turrets in mass going to try and deal with Luz's Marv, and 30 seconds left on the clock for that nuke. I think the Marv may end up being the target of the nuke. More Raider buggies, but this is just like impossible to EMP this Redeemer. Even if you get close to it, it just fires off and it kills you before you can actually get the real EMP off. That is just so much damage. That is an obscene amount of damage from that Redeemer. Marv is running around the map, but it is really just here to secure a little bit of build radius for that MCV. And the MCV may be the only thing, you know, just tons of base defenses, tons of EMPs from our GDI player, or from our Steel Talons player. That may be really the only thing that can stop a Marv, is just slowing it down, EMPing it again and again and again. And we'll have to see as CNC 1995 is getting stomped all over. BikeRushOwnz firing off his nuke here in the north, doing some big damage to the MCV, killing off 4 or 3 Juggernauts, but not necessarily enough to end the game right then and there. 1995 is still in this game technically, but he is not in this game. When you've got a heroic Redeemer in your base like this, there is just nothing you can really do. If you had shockwave artillery, maybe. Yeah. That's pretty much it. Goodbye, Rocket Squads, as finally... Ooh, mine drop? No, he tipped Vapor Bomb. Oh, he was trying to catch him between one clicks. Tipped Vapor Bomb and a Tiberium Catalyst missile, both firing off, both missing the Redeemer. And no production facilities, no MCV, just cash, and not a whole lot of power either, as CNC 1995 is in this game, but not in this game. CNC 1995 has been defeated, and then there were two. BikeRushOwnz with the heroic Redeemer with 5.5 minutes on the clock for his nuke to fire off once again. He's definitely got the best chance of taking this game. Going to lose, may very well lose this game. We shall see. BikeRushOwnz, I think, has been the one with more income for longer in this game. And I think he's actually got too many harvesters and not enough refineries in this case. Not enough places to refine all of that wonderful, wonderful Tiberium. Spectres firing down upon the Marv, doing some pretty big damage to the Marv before it even does battle with the Redeemer. The Redeemer, which is nearly back up to full health with the Engineer, with the fully heroic status, getting so much healing power. Tib core missiles going to be eliminating a couple of those hammerheads as they retreat away from the main battle. Going to lose. He's got forces a little bit spread around the map. He's got rail guns, but these are 1.02 Steel Talons, so these are not 1.03 Steel Talons. 1.03 Steel Talons, you just stick a couple of Zone Troopers instead of a Heavy Harvester, and a Heroic Redeemer is nothing to worry about at all. No real problem. MCV and more SAM turrets getting placed down for BikeRushOwnz. He is just slowly spreading out throughout the map. He's going to create a network of buildings that just cannot be defeated. As I assume he's still hanging out on 2 MCVs. Maybe he has 3 MCVs. There's at least 2. Yeah. And BikeRushOwnz has a lot of forces, but he may just be trying to do it with his Redeemer alone. Well, a couple of Titans are here. I don't know how well this is going to really end for our Steel Talons player. He's going to lose. He's going to make his stand. Where's the Shockwave Artillery? Where are the EMPs? He doesn't have a lot of EMP options, but he's got some, as this Redeemer is just doing huge amounts of damage to a single vet Marv. And that is just a ridiculous amount of DPS. That's the Marv's front armor as well, as the Redeemer just barely out of range. EMP Raider Buggy going to be locking down 3 of those behemoths, and the Shockwave Artillery is just barely missing the Marv. No, the Redeemer, but no, it does come back online, and then it gets locked down once more as the Spectres launch away and kill off that Marv. Goodbye, Marv. Going to lose, has indeed lost. He has been defeated as BikeRushOwnz takes this with a heroic Redeemer. And that will do it for these games, for these replays. These were 6 matches that people sent into my email. Definitely a mixed bag. A couple of them good, a couple of them not good, and then some in the middle as well. Thank you all very much for watching. And of course, this is Sybert, signing out.